I looked at you? What do you mean I looked at you? You gave me that look. I give everybody that look when I'm preaching. That's just that Ellis look, you know. I don't know why it is. They always get me when I get that look like I'm about to eat somebody's, you know. It's an amazing thing. By the time you get to this, by the time you find it out, instead of just coming and I tell people, look, if you want to, you know what a pet peeve is? It's a saying we have in the States. A pet peeve is, you know, like when somebody puts their nails on the chalkboard and just, you know, or they, you know, grind, you know, that. Well, there's, if you want to tick me off, you really want to get me angered, I mean, pretty quick. Just come up to me and tell me you know what I'm thinking. Well, I know what you're thinking. Oh, you do. You're God. Oh, I didn't know that. Excuse me. Let me bow down. Aren't you glad God didn't give people the ability to know what you're thinking? Every now and then he gives a word of knowledge to somebody and he'll speak your thoughts, but that's for a specific reason and time. We don't know your thoughts. I'm glad you don't know my thoughts. And I'm sure glad I don't know yours. Yep. But, you know, here's this. I know what you're thinking. You don't know what I'm thinking. If you've got an issue, just come and talk to me. And instead of coming in an accusatory, is that the right word? Accusatory? Instead of coming accusing, come with question. Pastor, when you said this, is this what you meant? And then if I say, well, yes, then I've just confirmed it by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Let every word be established. Have you ever had somebody that said you said a certain thing but you didn't say it? I just me. I'm the only one that's ever happened to. And what really happened was you didn't say it. They didn't hear what you said. They think they heard what you said, but they didn't really hear what you said. They took what you said, twisted it. And most of the time, they're not even doing it intentionally. They genuinely thought you said a certain thing. And then the old enemy comes in, enemy being your own brain, not necessarily the devil, your own thoughts, your own carnal thinking, steps in, and then you start assuming. And that's the second danger. When you start assuming, you assume this, and you assume that, and you assume this, and you assume that. Next thing you know, you got this thing made up. It's not even a close cousin to the truth. When it could all be taken care of if we just follow a few biblical principles. By the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. If you think I said something, come and ask me. How difficult is that? Pastor Timothy, you know, when you was preaching the other day, did I hear you say, did you really say that? And if they says, yeah, that's what I said. Well, could you explain what you meant? But we don't do that. People don't do that. They go run their mouth. Did you hear what he said? I know what he was talking about. I know what he was thinking. And he puts all this stuff, and next thing you know, man, this thing is built totally out of control. Do you know how many times those fires could be put out if leaders were in position, if they were loyal, if they were submitted, if they were, as a leadership team, speaking with one voice?
Right.
I get asked on numbers of occasions to meet with pastoral staffs. It's not uncommon for me to be asked to come and meet with pastor staff and etc. And I just did that recently, and with a pastor and his staff. And I said to them, I don't know if anybody in here is upper level leadership or not, but here's what I said to them. I said, you know what? When you're sitting around this table, you can discuss, you can disagree, you can, and there's times I've sat with our team and we've argued for 3 hours. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. But when the day's over and we walk out of that room, we better speak with one voice.
Amen.
And as a leader, if you're unwilling to do that, then you need to do your pastor a favor and resign. Because you're going to hurt the work. Now, I'm saying that for you in the future and whoever may listen to this tape or this recording, because this is very, very critical. I have found out that most problems in the church are not leadership problems. They're discipleship problems. They're just basic discipleship problems. And what is really bad is when you get a person in leadership that's not even discipled properly. That's when you get problems. I just talked to Pastor Foster at home, our home church. In fact, I was on the plane, or just the night before I left. Is it time for a break? I didn't pay attention to the time. I was just talking to him. He came over to the house and met before we left, and I said, Pastor, I said, you know what the most important class in your church is? It's your discipleship class. You need to invest a lot into training, into discipling. And then from your discipleship training, then you raise up leaders. If I'm looking for a leader, I'm not looking for somebody that's got gifts. I'm looking for somebody that's a disciple. Can I go this way just a little bit more? Just is this okay? We're on government, right? We're talking about God's government. Okay? I was telling Pastor this before class. I was asked to do some leadership training for a church several years ago, and he asked me a question before the class. Actually, I had just gotten into town, met him at the church, hadn't even got to the hotel yet, and he said, Brother Ellis, he said, I'm really struggling. He said, I can't seem to get anybody that wants to be in leadership. And I'm scratching my head, and I'm trying to think about that. And honestly, the question confused me. And so I went back to my motel, and I just went to prayer. I said, God, help me here. What am I missing? I don't understand what this pastor's talking about. Obviously, it's a situation. When we started the church, and for whatever reason, God just helped us to understand the importance of leadership. So we started leadership training very early on. So it was just kind of something that grew, and it was just a core value in our church. And so I really had not personally dealt with that issue. And when I got to prayer, I was shocked by what God said to me. It shocked me. It may shock some of you. He said, at least I think he said, I'm convinced he said to me, the reason there are so few leaders